Perek Dalit Halacha Yud.
What is this?
Halacha Yud. All right, we're almost finished the construction of the Yechiel. A lot of details. We will use the puzzle today to help us understand a little bit better. Shkoyach. So we went through the width, the length, the height, the outside structure of the ulam of the Beis Hamikdash, and we discussed that according to the Rambam, the walls of the ulam went all across, not like in this picture, but the walls that were in the side of the Kodesh, what we'll discuss now in Halacha Yud, 6 walls till you got in, seems like it didn't go the whole 100 amma high, like you have in this puzzle. And this will be correct, that the 6 walls and the 5 spaces in between were only the first floor of 40 amma, not the second floor. Yud. All these spaces that were in between. Remember, you had 6 walls and 5 spaces between the outer wall of the Kodesh till the Kodesh itself. So these spaces in between were called time. Time can mean lishkos, rooms, lockers, but they weren't mamish lockers. They were rooms that were plenty of amas big each.
Walk-in closets.
Walk-in closets. There you go. Some say that they used them to store the gold and treasures of the Beis Hamikdash in a lot of these rooms. So you had 5 rooms in each side, because you had 6 walls of 5 spaces. 5 in Safin, 5 in Darim, but in the Maidiv you had only 4 walls, 3 spaces. Shalish Dyotis Hayu, Dyoit al Gabi Dyoita.
Where is that? Where is the 3? Where you see 3 walls?
We'll see.
Not here.
No, it doesn't show it over here. I'll show it in a later picture. Over here, you see in this thing? These were 5 walls with 6 walls, and this was only 4 walls with 3 spaces. We're living in earlier halacha. The shalosh dyatis hayodoit al gabi dyaita. There were 3 floors. This spaces had 3 floors. Nimtzu chamisha asar tayim bedarim, and really each shadarim had 15 time. 5 spaces times 3, because 3 floors. It's 15. V'chein batzafei chamisha asar u'shmoina tayim ma'imaidiv. The minus side had 3. Shloisha al gabi shloisha. Ushnaim al gabeim b'dyoita achas. On the top floor, they only had 2. They combined the spaces. 1 wall was missing. Only in the back might of wall. So it's only 2. Akosh minor shloishim times 38 rooms. These rooms were again very long. It could be 100 amma long, and 5 amas wide. It's big rooms, more like hallways, long hallways, wide hallways. If you look in the picture on page Nuches, it's nice to know that each hallway, each room had a name. And the tzaf side, they were called, the outermost room was called Kaisel Mesiba. The second one was called the Mesiba, because they had a ramp starting from there to go up. That's the Mesiba. And there was Kaisel Ateh. And the second to the closest to the Yechiel was called the Teh, the official locker. And then there was Kaisel Yechiel. They had names. And the same thing on Darim's side. They were called Kaisel Yechiel, Ateh, Kaisel Ateh, Beis Haradas Hamayim is an area to go down to a source of water, and then called Kaisel. So they had actually names to refer to each space. We did learn that the Pishpesh, the door that they used to walk in, like in a narrow hallway, and then turn into the inside of the Yechiel, was actually in the area called Teh. Earlier, the Rambam said that in the Teh was the Pishpesh. So if you know the Teh was the second space, so you know exactly where it is. Okay. Yeah, don't. Halacha Yud Aleph. Actually, there's a Ravid here. He doesn't understand what the Rambam said, that the 2 on the top floor of the Maidav wall were B'dyoit Achas, the same level. Why shouldn't Why shouldn't it be the same level? It's just missing a wall. Because the Mishnah says, no, that Rambam was trying to say that the Maidav walls were in the same level as Tzafin and Darim. In other words, if you would walk through the hallway, the pathway on Safin, and you want to turn, you don't have to walk up or down. They were built the same level. That's what the Rambam means. But he's not going on the last two rooms. He's saying the whole Ma'ariv wall, first floor, second floor, third floor, were all built aligned, the same level. Okay. Yud Aleph. Shloisha psachim haya l'chol echav min ha'toim. So each one of these toim had three doors. Three doors. Three openings. Why? Echel l'tomin yamin, to the right. Echel l'tomin is small. If you want to, you'll be able to have access. If you want to go through one wall, one space between two walls, the other space. So you had an opening. V'echel l'ta shal gabav, and also to go up. So if you want to go from the first floor to the second floor, there was an opening in the ceiling. It's called a Pesach, an opening. U'bekerem mizrachis tzfoinis b'teshe b'dyoita amtsois, in the Mizrach Tzafin corner, in the room that was on the second floor, there are 5 openings. So remember, Ta is usually the second hallway, right? They're right near the, first you call it the Kaisel Heichel, and then afterwards called Ta. And in the middle one, so really be the second pathway, in the middle floor, has 5 openings. Echel Ata Yamin, Echel Ata Shel Gabav, Ve'echad lemesiba, ve'echad lata sheyesh by a pishpish, ve'echad lehechel. Meaning, they had to the right side, they had to on top, and on the bottom, there's a picture here on page Samach. You'll see that on the bottom there are 2 openings, right? One went into the hallway. Then from there you go and have a pishpish door to go into the hechel. And there was another one, I'm not sure how it worked. It must be that it went into another, was a little bit of a wider room. So you can also have a door going to away to the Mesiba. In other words, if someone wants to go up to the second floor of the Heichel, he has to go through this Mesiba. There's a ramp. You can see that picture in the next one here. And you want to enter the ramp from the same room that you entered the Pishpish, the door to go into the Heichel. So they had, in that room, 5 openings. So you had a lot more access to different places. Yud Beis. And Echad LaHeichel, obviously, the Chayei Rambam learns that from the second floor, there was an opening also into the Heichel. Again, not everybody agrees with the Rambam. Some say it was just a window or something else. But the Rambam holds that from that second floor, there was also a way to go to the Heichel. Obviously, no one used it. It's a higher level, but there was an opening. Halacha Yud Beis. Umesiba, there was a mesiba which was sort of a ramp. It went up, starting from the Tzafin Mizrach corner, and it went up till the Tzafin Ma'ariv corner, but then it turned. Then he turned to Ma'ariv. Halach has called Pnei Tzafin Atru Yechiel Ma'ariv. Yechiel Ma'ariv Havach Panav L'Darim. Halach has called Pnei Ma'ariv Atru Yechiel L'Darim. Yechiel L'Darim Havach Panav L'Mizrach. Yeah, it went around and it kept on turning slowly higher and slowly also diagonally towards the next turn.
So those the openings that were on top, which were very high.
Yeah.
There had to be a ladder or something.
No, so it seems like it went through the entire level. It could be that when it was in Tzafin, it was only on the first level, and the Ma'ariv went through towards into the second level. There's 3 floors.
Right.
So I'd imagine in Tzafin, it went from the bottom to the top of the first floor. And it's a long thing, it's 100 am. It's a yeah, and then it went up in the Ma'ariv and then back on the Darim. So by the time it came to the Mizrach Darim corner, it was already on top of the 3rd floor, which was, as we see in this puzzle, the 3rd floor, the top of the 1st floor was the floor of the second. In other words, if you want to go on top of the 2nd floor of the Heichel was 40 amas high. It was on a stage and then 40 amas high. So you had to use this ramp. You went up to all the 3 floors of the Toim. Then you can go to the 2nd floor of the Heichel. What was there? The Heichel had 2 floors, 40 amma, and then another roof, and then another floor on top. So if you want to go to the 2nd level, you have to go through the pathways on the side. What do you have to do there? I'll say what you have to do soon. Shapischa shel aliyah is a pasuach l'darim. The door to enter the aliyah was on the darim side, but the beginning of the ramp was in Safin. So obviously, the Rambam says must be that ramp went all around. Yeah. Halacha Yud Gimel. Ubepischa shel aliyah is a shnei klunsai shel eres sheben oin l'gag shel aliyah. Like you have in many houses, if you want to go up to your roof, you have this ladder on the top floor, and then you go up to your roof. So the walls on the side of the Yechiel didn't go up 100 amma. They only went up to the second floor.
Third floor.
Yeah, they had 3 floors, but the Yechiel only had 2 floors. So the aliyah of the Yechiel you could enter normally, but if you want to go to the entire roof, so over here, almost 100 amma high, so you'd have to walk the whole ramp, get to the second floor of the Yechiel, to the aliyah, and from there walk up le'erech 46 amma, right, on a ladder. So he has a nice picture over here that looks mamish like the ladders you'll have in your houses. What?
You're allowed to go up on top of Kodesh Kodashim?
You know, maybe if they need to fix something.
Only for repairs.
Yeah, for repairs. But it's important to have access. Right.
This was in there. Empty?
Mm-hmm.
It was empty in
Yeah. From here up.
but no, this was flat.
Yeah.
It was closed.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It's roofed.
It wasn't that you could see all.
Could you see if I don't know? The chayda was usually things were roofed by the whatever Heichal Kodesh Kodashim were all usually roofed. The naked here roofed. I don't know. The Rambam doesn't discuss it. We're in Halacha Yigimel, second line. If you went up to the Aliyah, it was important to know where the Kodesh ends and the Kodesh Kodashim begins. So they had a little in the ground coming up, a little mechitza. It was called Rashi Pisi Pasin. That came up from the floor. Sort of a little mechitza. Like this, you know where starts the Kodesh Kodashim. The base Kodesh Kodashim. From the Aliyah, they had these windows, these skylights. You can go from the second floor down to the Kodesh, down to the Kodesh Kodashim. Actually, the Kodesh Kodashim. They sent workers to fix the structure of the walls of the Kodesh Kodashim. They would go in special boxes, and they wouldn't see the Kodesh Kodashim. They'd only see the wall. They shall yazunu as a name, Beis Kodesh Kodashim. Once a year, usually before Pesach each year, they would send to people to plaster the Heichel.
And the 114.
Yeah. Right, that's why you need the separations.
Wow.
Right.
I'm saying so. It was more. You got to be very careful.
Not to enter. And they didn't want to rely on the person's measuring the 40 amma. They wanted to have a mechitza.
It's going up.
Interesting.
Anything on top of the iron. The iron.
No, but what he's basically saying is that in the Aliyah they also had a paroiches. The Gemara says, that's saying one more thing. The Gemara says that in the Aliyah they had a paroiches as well. So why did you need a little mischitza coming out of the ground if you anyway have a paroiches? What do you need pisipasin for? So he says because it's even more holier, so you need a double block before you enter. How could it be holier? Well, the Bayis Sheni, which is what is anyway, was no arin. Aval became the kedusha was still there. So what's the pella?
Every year, another fellow passed away.
No, but he didn't go up.
No, but he didn't go on the top. Okay.
No, but he went into the regular.
All right, Perek Chamishi. Let's start a little bit of Perek Chamishi. Perek Chamishi will discuss the building of the Harabais. What?
What's the chain thing on the left-hand side?
That ladder?
That's the boxes. The boxes.
That's the box to drop.
Yeah, they want to show how they drop the person down. Yeah, to do it. Perek Chamishi. Halacha Aleph. Harabais hu harameriya hayachamish meis amish al chamish meis amis. Till now we learned the structure of the Heichel, which was in the Azara, but outside the Azara there was a huge area. I mean, Beis Hamikdash itself wasn't so big. It was actually a pella how somebody Yidden could fit in. But the Harabais is a very big area.
It's also Peloton.
God, but 500 am on 500 am. It's quite a big plaza. It's quite a big plaza. There was a wall. The Ram does not say how tall the wall is. There's a different discussion. Some say it was 40 amas high, the same as the Azara. Under the whole Arabayis, there was an unbelievable structure, which you can see if you go now to the arches. You can go some of the tunnels under the Arabayis. They have a tour. You can see the arches. They built the entire Arabayis on arches. They pay oil atuma because of oil atuma. In other words, you don't want to you can't come in if you're tummy. You don't want to accidentally become tummy. Yeah, not only Kohanim. You don't need Salem. You have to be a Tmei mace cannot go in from the area of the Chel or past the Soidig or past the Chel.
The Harabais was flat. Then they built these.
Yeah. No, it wasn't flat. It wasn't flat. It wasn't flat. Harabais.
How they built the arches?
Why can you build an arch on a mountain? You build the top part of the arch a little. The Harabais was flat. But it doesn't mean the mountain was flat. After you make all the arches, when you make arches, you can do whatever you want on top of the arches. Yeah, you can dig in, you can cut the stone in a way that
the Harabais, the second Beis Hamikdash, they flattened that out, but they made the Beis Hamikdash on a staircase.
Yeah, they still made a staircase level. We're going to go soon through it. Yeah, for sure.
But the original foundation, they flattened it out.
Oh, could be.
But a second Beis Hamikdash.
So they had, you see the picture, twice keeping. Because if you have one keeper, then there was a mess under the wall, and still tumah. But if there's no cave, if there's no tefach, tumah goes through. So it's keeping 2 layers of arches. And in the Harabais itself, all around the wall, there was this like bleachers, this like 2 levels of balconies where people sort of can sit, and they're roofed. So the Itztaba. So if you walked into the Harabais, the first few amas, most of the Harabais was not roofed. It was open to the sky. But there was an area roofed that had a stav, means like a bench or a balcony, has a roof over it. Malacha Beis. There were 5 sharim, 5 gates, 5 openings to the Harabais. Echad min ha'mayriv, echad min ha'mizrach, echad min ha'tzafin. Each wall had 1 opening. Ushnayim min ha'darim. There were 2 openings in Darim. Roichav kol shar 10 amis, v'gavi esrim, yeshlam tlasis. It was 10 amis wide, 20 amis tall, and they actually had doors. It wasn't just the Pesach, but they actually had doors.
First parak the Harabais, and then she tells us after Harabais, it's the beginning of the Beis Hamikdash.
Maybe you answer. In halacha, who's serving who? The ikid is you have to know why you need a Beis Hamikdash. You have to start off that you need a Beis Hamikdash. It's a place to bring kabbanis, and the shechin will be shaita. And then he right away starts with the avodah, bring kabbanis and the kelim, because that was the main point why they have Beis Hamikdash, to serve the Eibush, to bring kabbanis. All right. I think that would be a pashta teretz. You're right. That's if you are, depends how you're designing your sefer. It's halacha sefer. So halacha gimel. Lifnim mimenu, outside the wall, more inside from the walls of the Harabais, there was a soidig, makif saviv. A soidig was a low fence made from wood that's sort of woven. You have a picture like a mesh, and holes inside. And Gavi had started tvachim, which was only 10 tvachim high, which was used according to some opinions. I'm not sure why, but it helped. There was sort of a mechitza for carrying. Why the outside walls weren't enough, I'm not sure. But some hold that the soidig was necessary to have a 10 tvachim mechitza for carrying. And also, I'm not sure if a goy couldn't go past here or past the chel. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was the where couldn't the guy pass. Okay, we'll see. But the Freeman Soidig, after the Soidig, there was an area called the Chel, And the Rambam holds that the Chel was not just an area, but it was actually a wall. Gavei Esed Amis. Some people say the Chel, there was no wall. After the Saidik, went straight to the Azara, the big area. Just the 10 Amis that were before the Azara was called Chel. But the Rambam holds it was actually a wall. In addition to the area called Chel, there was a wall called Chel. Mishnayos, you always find their area called Chel, like and they bring the Korban Pesach, some have to sit in the Chel. But that was also a wall. And he says in Kinos, when it says V'yavel Chel v'Chayma Yachtav, the Avelis over the Chel and the Chayma. They're the two walls. Chayma is the Chayma of the Azara, and Chel is a wall that was earlier. Chayma is the Chayma of the Azara. I want to see if he said over here where the Goyim couldn't pass through. In Order 18, he says that Kedusha Chamasachel Chamurim Mitusha Bayis B'kach she'asu legoy l'tmei meis l'boy al nida. It seems like the Rambam or others held that the Goy couldn't enter from the Chel, not from the Saidik. Okay. Okay, we'll continue Mitzvah Shem tomorrow from Allah Dalit. Okay.
Wednesday we're gonna have